Welcome back to another episode of the Tiffany Paul Show. And if you're wondering, are things looking up? Well, let's just cut to the chase. I slammed a trunk on my own head and ended up in the ER. So no, things are not looking up, but thank you for asking. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your concern. But no, it's been a bloody bash over here. Like, story of my own fucking life. If you're wondering how one actually slams a trunk on their head, don't worry, because I too would have thought that's a very odd thing to do, but I feel like it's a metaphor for life that most of our pain and suffering is self-inflicted, this included, and the universe just wanted to remind me to stop being a little bitch and fucking just be a little more, like, cause a little less self-harm, I guess. So, that's how I'm doing. I currently have a giant gash in my scalp, and it's glued together, and let me give you the answer as to how that happens in case you're still like, "Okay, but wait, like, what's wrong? Are you mentally unwell?" Because, yeah, maybe a little. But here's how one does that. So, I'm picking up my kids from school, like, candidly, honestly, my ex reached out. Okay, there's there's more to the story than just me slamming my head. So, remember at the at the beginning of this whole series, I told you, like, this ex kind of plunged me into the depths of darkness because he just made me question myself and everything. And he reached back out, and I was in my head, like, all day long, like, what the fuck should I do here? Should I even entertain, like, a meetup? Like, be smart, Tiffany, be smart. So candidly, I was in my head and I was like, universe, please get me out of my head. Like, let me just drop into my heart and my body. And I did ask for this. I did ask for this. So anyways, I'm in my head. I had just gone for a run. I'm trying to, like, clear the energy, like, get into my body. I go for a run. I'm on my way to pick up my kids to school. I grab them. My little one is, like, running down the hillside, and I'm, like, just gonna keep going. So I'm like, yeah, run, 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 live your best life. And so I open the trunk to put the backpacks in the back. And as I do that, if you're looking on YouTube, I can explain it to you. But, like, so she's on this hill. I'm looking. I put the backpacks in. I reach up to grab the trunk. I drive a Bronco Sport. So it's like, type of SUV. I'm underneath the trunk, and somehow I'm looking over, and I thought to myself, but clearly I did not think to myself, I closed the trunk on my own fucking head while I'm standing under it because I'm looking at my daughter on a hill, but I'm obviously distracted, clearly. And I grab my head instantaneously, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, did I literally just do that? Did I literally just close the trunk on my head? My kids are running over at that point, and they're like, "Mommy, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I just slammed the trunk on my head." And I'm like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "I wonder if it's bleeding." So I take my hand off. And you guys, if you've ever had a head injury or seen anybody have a head injury, they bleed like a motherfucker. So I take my fucking hand off. Blood is everywhere. My kids instantly melt down. "Mommy, oh my God." Olivia, my youngest, she's like, "No, like, I can't have my mommy die. Like, I can't live without a mommy." I'm like, "Mommy's not dying." My dog, there's literally blood, like, gushing down my face. And I'm like, what the fuck do I do right now? First off, like, I clearly have a head injury. Like, am I okay? I'm bleeding from the head. My children are crying. My daughter thinks I'm dying. And I'm like, am I okay to drive? Like, can I get into the Bronco, like, with blood everywhere? What do I fucking do? And so I'm like, okay, I need to stop the bleeding. So I look at my son and I'm like, Cameron, that's my oldest. I'm like, Cameron, give me your shirt. And he's like crying. He's like, no, you can't have my shirt. And I'm like, Cameron, I need your shirt to stop the bleeding. And he's like, no, because he's fucking crying. He's not like, here, and I'm going to be naked. And then I realize I'm wearing a shirt. So then I take my own shirt off. And I'm in my sports bra. I'm all fucking sweaty and bloody. And I put my shirt on my head. And I'm like, kids, get in the car. We got to go to the doctor. So the kids are getting in the car. I'm like, I try to call their dad. Like, I have Cameron call their dad like 20 times. He's not answering because I'm like, clearly these two are traumatized. They think I'm dying. Like they need, like their dad needs to come get them. But of course, their dad doesn't answer. So I'm like, okay, we're going to, urgent care. So I'm driving literally with this head, like with a shirt on my head, and just like also focusing, like, am I okay to drive? Like, am I gonna pass out? Like, I have my two children in the car, and I can't like faint and pass out and kill us all. And so anyways, thankfully, I made it safely to urgent care, and so then I walk into the waiting room in a fucking sports bra, a fucking shirt on my head, 2 crying children. Everyone just looks at me. I'm like, "Hey," like, holding this bloody shirt on my head. I'm like, "Head injury," like so I go up to the front and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm bleeding from the head." I'm bleeding from the head. As literally they could obviously see that. There's blood everywhere. There's a shirt on my head. But I check in and I'm like, "Hey, I'm bleeding from the head." So, thankfully, I knew I'd be seen first. And they're still just like, "Okay, like, can you confirm your address? You have a copay of $50, like, confirm your insurance." And I'm like, "This is intense. I have a fucking head injury." And you're like, "Oh, here's like, pay your copay, confirm your information." I'm like, "How do you even know I can give you correct information right now? I'm bleeding from the head." And so then I'm like, "Well," they're like, "All right, we'll get a room clean for you shortly." And I'm like, "So you want me to stand here? Like, I can't sit, I'm full of blood." And they're like, "Yeah, you can just stand." I'm like, "Again, a head injury. I'm just supposed to stand. What if I pass out? Like, these people, like, do not care that I'm bleeding from the head." And so standing there, maybe about just 5 minutes, finally get a little room, and their dad still hasn't called me back. So and it's, like, dinner time. I'm like, "Do we need to Postmate food? Like, are you kids okay?" Like, "No, they're okay." I'm trying to just assure them, "Mommy's okay." And they're like, "Well, why do we have to be at the doctor if you're okay?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm bleeding from the head," once again, if you couldn't see that. And I'm like, "You can't put Band-Aids on your head because you have hair. So, the doctor needs to look. Maybe we'll need stitches or something." And the kids are like, "We're not gonna look." I'm like, "That's all right. Don't have to look." So we're waiting. The doctor comes in and checks it out. And the whole time I'm just like, I want to know how bad it is. How bad is it? I haven't seen it. There's blood everywhere. I'm like, literally, like, are they gonna have to shave my head? Do I have a concussion? Like, what is happening? So the doctor, like, comes in, she's like, "Okay, we need to see how deep it is." So they start, like, pressing on it, and everything starts to go blurry, and I'm like, "Holy fuck, I'm gonna pass out," like, and then I'm like, "Shit, if I pass out, my daughter is for sure gonna think I died, and I'm gonna create, like, this trauma, like, I thought my mom died in front of my eyes." Like, blame the fucking Disney movies for them, like, instantaneously thinking, like, I get a head injury and I'm gonna die. Like, why does every parent need to die at the beginning of those movies? That's so fucked up, and, like, literally you destabilized, the entire population of America's children. But anyways, so I start going fuzzy, and I'm like, "I think I might pass out." And they're like, "Hey, lean back." And I'm, like, taking deep breaths, and I'm like, "Angels, please don't let me pass out. Like, Olivia will think I died." And that is very traumatic. And I was just, like, focusing, breathing in, saying prayers. Luckily, I don't pass out, thank God. And they're, like, telling me, like, "Okay, you don't need staples, we can just glue it together." And I'm like, "Thank God, because I don't want my head shaved." Like, hello? Like, I know I'm going through, like, a hard time in life, but, like, I don't wanna have a Britney Spears moment here. Like, with a shaved head, people are gonna think I've really lost it. And plus, like, could I just get, like, something good happening to me? This is something good, Like, it was glue and not staples. I, like, celebrate the wins. I didn't pass out, celebrate the wins. So the good news is I'm not thinking about my ex anymore at all. I'm like, whatever, like, forget him, like, totally out of my mind. So anyways, long story short is they glued my head back together. My children were very traumatized. We all survived. When I got home, I think because partially I had a head injury, I was kind of out of it. I was just, like, hysterically laughing the whole night because, like, revisiting the fact that, like, I slammed a trunk on my head. Like, who does that? Like, actually, who does that? Like, I was clearly so distracted and so fucking in my head, and universe, like, was like, "You know what? It's so bad, we need to make her slam a trunk on her head." So, that's, the latest. Clearly, it's all funny now, but at the time, I was like, "Do I have a concussion? Am I gonna die? Do I need staples? Do I need stitches?" But All is well. So, in light of that very serious and dramatic beginning, let's make today's rant like a little lighter. Today's rant is about fitted sheets, but not in like the way that you're thinking, like how shitty they are to fold. Like, for the record, they are very hard to fold. And like, I never learned it. And like, I don't understand why I haven't learned how to fold a fitted sheet. Like, I don't understand what's wrong with me. Like, why I just mentally curse the fitted sheet while I'm folding it, yet I don't actually take the initiative to learn how to fold a fitted sheet. Like, my logical mind knows that I can easily overcome this obstacle in my life and I can learn to fold a fitted sheet, but like I don't. So once again, like I'm causing my own misery. So it actually is very on brand, very on theme for today's episode. Like, how many times do we like know there's a better way in an answer and we're just like not doing it? So like maybe this rant should be less about the fitted sheet and more about me and how to like, you know, get my shit together. But like, don't worry, like the fitted sheet rant doesn't end there because like that's not what triggered it. It wasn't the folding it that triggered the rant. The rant was triggered by the fact that I was washing and drying my sheets. And every time you wash the fitted sheet, like in a load, you go to the dryer and then like, every little fucking shirt or towel or anything you washed with it is all like wrapped up in the corners of the fitted sheet, wrinkled as fuck, damp, not dry, and then you got to like untangle it, and then you got to run the whole load again. And once again, I just looked at this madness and I thought to myself, what the fuck have I been doing with my life? Washing all these other clothes with the fitted sheet. Clearly, this is not a good idea. They're wrinkled, they're not dry. I have to run it twice. This is stupid. And so I'm like, I had this epiphany. I'm like, maybe the fitted sheet is only meant to be like washed alone. Like it doesn't play well with others. Why do I keep, again, repeating the same bullshit? Why do I keep putting myself through the misery of the experience of washing other items with my fitted sheets, knowing damn well it's not going to be fucking dry when I get there? All the little shirts are going to be all wrinkly. Why do I keep doing this to myself? So I think it's time to make a change, and I'm serious about this change in my life. So I think it's time to A, learn how to fold a fitted sheet, and B, wash that damn fitted sheet by itself. You know what? That fitted sheet is me. I am the fitted sheet. Just let me live. Let me be on my own. Don't bother me. Like, just let me live. Let me, enjoy that dryer. Like, let me spread out. Let me be me. Don't try to contain me. Don't try to, make me make friends with people I don't want to be friends with. Like, I know it can be a little difficult at times. I know I'm a little bit hard to figure out. I know I'm not, like, as easy as the top sheet. The fitted sheet is difficult. I am the fitted sheet. The fitted sheet is me. So maybe it's time to make friends not only with the fitted sheet, but also with the difficult parts of me. Learn to love the difficult parts of me, but also accommodate the parts of me that are just like, just let me live. So maybe there's hope for us after all. I have never compared myself to a fitted sheet, but I think it's the head injury. The head injury is giving me either new insights or new levels of insanity. You can be the judge. That's the rant. So let's get into today's question, because first off, do we even trust me with questions right now? I have a head injury. Let's see what we got here. So today's question is, how does speaking your truth impact your sense of freedom and inner peace? You guys, it's everything. When you are holding back the truth of how you feel, what you think, what you believe in a situation, it literally causes dis-ease in the body. That is, in my opinion, how disease is created. I honestly attribute so much of my physical health, besides the head injury, to my ability to speak my truth. When I speak my truth, I'm processing the energy, I'm processing the emotion. You're also clearing energy. I'm all about clearing conversations. Even if you can't speak your truth in the moment, coming back to that person or the situation, especially if you need like a moment to calm down, to breathe, to center yourself so you don't react, so you can actually respond. I am a huge advocate of just the health benefits of speaking your truth. To me, I literally feel uncomfortable if I keep in my true thoughts about a situation. And we're not always presented with the exact perfect moment in time to speak up. For example, like in the middle of a board meeting, you can't just be like, actually, Sally, I think you're a cunt. Or like if you're at a family dinner and let's say like your husband disrespects you in front of your kids, you know, you're not always, I'm not great at this. You're not supposed to bring it up at the table in front of the kids. You're supposed to like bring it up later. There are definitely situations where you can speak your truth like later. It doesn't always have to be in the moment. And sometimes your truth doesn't actually have to be to the very person themselves. You can write your truth in a journal. You can hire a coach or a therapist and speak your truth that way. But I'm a huge advocate that is so critical to a healthy mind, body, and spirit to speak your truth. To me, this is the key to inner peace. It's not holding in and bottling up what your truth is. It's learning how to say it respectfully and in the right timing. And trust me, I have had to freaking work so hard at this because my mind works so fast that sometimes I just blurt out whatever's on my mind and I offend people, and it wasn't the right time. And it was more of a reaction versus a grounded response. And that's like my current energetic challenge. Like I'm very reactive, which in Kabbalah, they say that reactivity is literally on the same wavelength as poverty. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, no, I cannot be a poor bitch. And I'm very reactive. And when I say very, it's like I have a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings, and I'm very expressive. And I have had to learn how to bottle those up for maybe the time being, bring out those thoughts and feelings at an appropriate time, and also learn to deliver them in a way that people can hear them. Specifically, like in dating, you're not supposed to be like, you did this. That does not work. Or like in a marriage, you're supposed to say, I feel sad when XYZ happens and focus on your feelings. And so I'm trying to study communication. It was funny because like there was this book recommended to me, like Nonviolent Communication, which sounds so extreme and abrupt. And you know what? Like the first time someone was like, you should read this book, Nonviolent Communication, I wanted to be like, fuck off. Like you can just go fuck off. And then I'm like, well, maybe I need that book. So I'm reading that book. But there's also this cool doctor I met Dr. Nina, shout out to Dr. Nina, who's been creating all these videos on YouTube about how to respond, not react. And she taught me this tool also, just to give you an example of a tool you can use to speak your truth like appropriately. Because one of my faults is that I like to interrupt people. I don't like, but I do interrupt people and I interject, and I'm like, if I'm confused, I'll like stop them there and be like, wait, like help me understand. Or if I have a question, I like won't let them finish. Or if I have an objection, I won't let them finish. And I don't do this consciously because obviously that lady I'm describing sounds like a nag, like a loser, like so annoying, like who invited her to the party. But in like discussions, I'm just like, my mind is moving so fast and I'm not the best listener. And so Dr. Nina taught me something that was so simple, but it worked. And it was to count to 10 every time you want to interrupt someone. Because by the end of 10, by the time you get to 10, they've oftentimes answered the question that you were thinking of, or they shared more insights that your question or your point was no longer relevant. And so, honestly, when I first heard that advice, I'm like, that is stupid advice. Like, I'm not going to count to 10. But I was like committed. I'm like, okay, I need to do better at listening and being responsive, not reactive, especially in dating, because I don't want to talk over my man, or anybody. But right now, most of the conversations I'm having are with men. And it's like getting to know each other. And so you kind of want to interject or get clarification. And so at first, when I heard this advice, I'm like, that's not going to work. Like, that's just counting to 10. That's not anything that's helpful. But then fast forward to yesterday, I did see my ex. We went out to dinner. And remember how I told you that he was kind of a dick sometimes, and we would just, like, bicker. We would bicker like an old married couple, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, you have to go back to that episode number 2. And so, sometimes I felt like some of his comments were like, he would try to tell me what to do, and I'm like, "Don't tell me what to do because, like, I am me and you are you, and, like, you do you, and, like, you don't really know me that well yet to, like, tell me what to do." But, of course, everybody has preferences and ideas and thoughts on, like, how people should act. And so this has been a point of contention between us. And one other point of contention is that I know I'm totally. I hope you got listener. I hope you got the answer to your question, but more stories for you here. So, anyways, he always has a strong opinion about things, and so do I. So we would like clash heads sometimes, and sometimes when he's giving his strong opinion, I would interrupt because I'm like, but wait, like, what about this point of view, and what about this and this? So, anyways, we're at dinner. And remember how I told you that I love that he makes me a plate? Again, go back to episode 2 if you and you can this is all full fucking circle, you guys. So I do love that he makes me a plate. So he's making me a plate, and he asked me if I wanted some one of the sides in particular, and I said no. And I was like, "No." And he looks at me and he's like, "No, thank you." And I'm like, "Don't tell me what to say." And I was like, he's like, "Well, no, thank you." It's like proper. And I was like, "Well, I'm not proper. Like, I'm not like, if you want like some polite bitch, like go find her because it ain't me." And he's like, "You're polite." And I was like, "No, I'm not." And he's like, "Well, for me, can you say no, thank you?" And I'm like, "No." And he's just like, "You and your pride," or something like that. And I was like, then I reflected on myself and I'm like, okay, help me understand why that's important to you. Help me understand. Because I'm hearing my resistance come up. It's not really that big of a deal if I say no, thank you. But I don't really want to be told what to say or how to be. But it's also like maybe some compromise is in order. So I ask him, why is it so important to you for me to say no, thank you? And he starts off telling me the story about how he was just telling his client that the thing he values most in life is being appreciated. And like that even comes higher than money. And like money he doesn't care about. He just wants to feel appreciated in life for all of his effort. And I want to fucking interrupt so bad and be like, what the fuck does this have to do with me saying no, thank you? I fucking was about to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know, like you're going off on some tangent about work and money and appreciation. What the fuck are you talking about? I thought we were talking about manners and you telling me what to do, you chauvinistic asshole. Just kidding. Like I was like, what does this have to do with manners? And so I let him keep talking and counting to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. And by the time I get to 9, he's like, and so when I'm serving you sides and you don't want them, it makes me feel unappreciated when you just say no. And when you say no, thank you, it makes me feel appreciated. And I was like, oh, okay. You're not just trying to be an asshole and control me and tell me what to do. Like taking us back to the 1950s when women are property. Like my mind just like fucking went full on in attack mode. Like, don't fucking tell me to say no, thank you. I'm not a housewife. This is 2025. And I'm like, oh. And so I'm like, holy fuck, Tiffany. If you had interrupted him because you just, I don't know, need to speak your truth and share your thoughts and share whatever you were, that I'm confused. Where are you going with this? Like, which would have been my truth in the moment. Like, I'm fucking confused, bro. Where are you taking me? Like, you lost me. You lost me. And I counted to 10. I got my answer. And, like, I realized he wasn't even trying to be a dick. He was just trying to feel appreciated. And that makes sense because, you know, it's a nice thing he's doing. And he's not my servant. He is my man in that moment, like doing a nice thing out of like a gesture of kindness. And so that's me acknowledging it in a polite way. And then he also said, and so if you want to say no to everybody else, that's fine. But to me, it's no, thank you. And I was like, oh, that makes total sense. Like, I don't always have to say it to everybody, but just you. Because in my mind, I'm like, he wants me always to say no, thank you. Like, that's an impossible job. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, that just setting me up for failure. I'm like, okay, I totally get that. But I'm like, so are you okay with like a 70% success rate? Because I might fail again. He's like, yeah. And so I'm like, look at us, like listening and not interrupting and responding. I mean, the first thing was a reaction, right? Like I was reacting, like, don't tell me what to do. Part of it's because like he's my ex and it's like I don't have as much patience for him. Versus if it was probably like my relationship, I'd be like, what do you mean? But that's just a perfect example of like, speaking your truth is so important, and the more we can do it from like a grounded, regulated place, in a place of love, compassion, seeking to understand, curiosity, responsiveness versus reactivity, it's even more potent. Because the truth is that a lot of times our reactions and our initial, comments that we want to make in the moment, it's actually not always our truth. It's actually our wounding or our protective measures that are coming up and either like trying to protect us from getting hurt or just responding out of like pain of the past. And so a lot of our reactions and the words that we speak are not always our truth. And so I think this was a good tangent because you asked me if truth is important to inner peace. And what was the question? Let's see. How does speaking your truth impact your sense of freedom and inner peace? Because it's like truth, true truth, the truth, when spoken, it does give you that sense of peace versus sometimes that reactivity where you speak from a place that's dysregulated or not from your highest self or not from compassion or love. It can actually leave you with maybe some guilt or shame because that wasn't actually your truth. That was a reaction out of fear of getting hurt, out of fear of being controlled, out of fear of not being, acknowledged or loved or supported or seen for who you are. A lot of what we do is we react and we speak out of what is not truth, but rather reactivity. And so remember, reactivity is the equivalent of poverty. Poverty, you guys. Like when I heard that, I'm like, dude, I need to get better. I don't want to be the energy of poverty. And so we want to be in the energy of abundance. And so responding and sharing your truth from a regulated, higher version of you is always the best. And so sometimes you can do that in the moment. Sometimes you need to do it later. And so I really, really believe in the importance of everybody speaking their truths, sharing their feelings, like clearing the air. If you feel like there's some tension between you and a coworker, you and a date, you and your ex, you and your mother, your sister, and doing so with the intention that you're going to hold that frequency of truth and responsiveness and listening and compassion. And if it leaves that frequency, exiting the conversation, because that's where we get into reactivity and our wounding and not maybe our highest truth. And I am just always someone that if I feel weird energy or some tension, I like to talk it out. And that always makes me feel so much better inside. And it oftentimes builds the relationship with that person because it builds intimacy, because intimacy is really deepened when you have the courage to share truth, especially when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's hard. But if it's with the intention to improve the relationship, clear the energy, and deepen the bond or heal the past, it's always going to be beneficial to you to speak up and speak your truth. So keep speaking your truth in small and big ways. It can be as simple as, no, thank you. I do not want any mashed potatoes. Versus saying sure because you feel bad saying no. Or it can be a harder conversation, like I want a divorce, or I'm ready to leave this job, or a conversation with a friend that's draining your energy. The power of truth will never fail you. It may be difficult, it may be challenging, but I promise you it's always worth it. So this is your permission to go speak your truth, to go get back with your ex. No, just kidding. So if any of you guys are wondering, like, we're on friend vibes. We're like, let's see where this goes. And I'm not rushing anything at all. It's just he reached out and I'm like, let's just see what's going on because what is life? What is life? And that's what I know, guys. So that is this episode of the Tiffany Paul Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And just a reminder, get out of the way before you close the trunk. Don't want you to end up in the ER like me. All right. Love you all. I will talk to you all again next week.